have this set R that we first need to consider. And the set R is something that is not relevant for us since we have a workflow net here and it has only one start place, so there's no concurrency between the start nodes. Second part, we need to identify those transitions in the pagernet which are AND splits. And there's only one to this, and that is already indicated here with T, so that is the only AND split that we can see here in the model. And as you know, if there's an AND split, this is introducing concurrent branches. That's exactly what we see here. And from this T, it fires into these transitions C1 and C2, and of course they are concurrent. And so that means that eventually we will need to follow up from this pair of concurrent places, that also the succeeding elements of them will be concurrent until we finally merge them.
Why do you have, in the set R, you have the pairs C1, C2 and C2, C1?
Yeah, they're both in there. They're just symmetric. Yeah.
Okay, but you, in the example to the right, you didn't have the pairs with which are...
Oh yeah, sure you do. So you have this transition T. You look at this post set of T.
No, I mean, but the
Ah, here, right, in the listing. Yes. Yeah.
But it would, you would have to put it in there as well.
Yes. Yes. This definition includes this. Yeah. Yeah. But you're right, they do not add any new semantics because these pairs are symmetric. So this is essentially what we get from this R. The second one is we have to look at this relationship A. A says if you give me a place, I'll tell you all places that are the next ones after the next transition. So this set is actually then very simple. For instance, for the start, which are the elements that in A, which have started the first element, which are the second ones?
C1, C2.
Yes, so in that set we would have start C2, start C1. In that set we will also have C1, C3. We will have C2, C5. We will have C3, C4, C5, C6, C6, and C4, and. That will be the whole population that we find in the set A.
And what about C5, C2?
Yes, that one as well. Yeah. Okay, this is our helping set A. And then we have the set E. And set E helps us to look at, to keep track of which pairs we have already inspected and which sets we still need to inspect. So it means in the first place, we still need to inspect all successors of those that we already know that are concurrent. So that's everything that is in this set R. Okay, so it means as long as this set E is not empty, we pick a pair from the set E. So for instance, well here that may be very easy. So we may pick C1, C2. This is C1, C2. So that X becomes C1 and P becomes C2. And then we would need to work with this and look at a transition which is subsequent to P2. And subsequent to P2, there's only one transition, that is the send bill. So T will become send bill. So we have X as C1, so the upper transition. And we look at if C1 and the places which are in the preset of our transition that we're considering, so the places which are in the preset of send bill, if that would be part of R, so we would have essentially C1, and since T, which is send bill, has only one pre-place, which is C2, we would say C1 and C2 is actually already in R, which is fine. Then we can continue and check our incremental set auxiliary. So that means from this X, which is still C1, we would have any subsequent places from the C2, which is essentially here in this case only C5. That means we have C1, C5 would be concurrent as much as C5 and C1. And they need to be added. and we have x is still C1, the place is still C2, so we have C1 and send build, and C1. They would also belong to this auxiliary set, and with this auxiliary set we have on the one hand side to increment our concurrency relation R, and we would need to keep track of which ones we still need to inspect. So we still need to inspect those which are pairs of places. So it means we still need to inspect C1, C5 as much as C5, C1. That is essentially the part that we get by intersecting the auxiliary set of x versus p. And we would need to subtract those that we have already added to our relation set. But here in this stage we have not yet added something. So that means here this set minus makes sure that we do not run it into an infinite loop, and this whole thing will be stopping at a particular stage. Right, and then we can continue, for instance, with one of the elements that we got, which was C1, C5. And with the same procedure, we will find that C1 is also concurrent to C6, and so forth. Okay, please share that with your colleagues.